right, back at y'all with another one. We are here this afternoon. One of my favorite subjects of all time is Africa and the African diaspora. A real big focus on the African diaspora, people from the continent and the Caribbean. I am your host, Danya Craddock, of this roundtable today. July is one of those times of the year that we focus on Africa and African diaspora. While we're getting set up and ready to go, gather. While they're sending out the notifications, please gather around, gather your friends, share, like, and do all those different things because we're going to have just a wonderful conversation today dealing with our experiences as African American and the perception that is received across the world. So we have some great guests with us today, and I am so honored to be here with everyone. I'm going to let you guys introduce yourself, but I want to talk about why we came up with Africa and the African diaspora, and we do it every year in July.
The African Diaspora Roundtable.
Right. Thank you, Donna. I'm going to get that. We have started this conversation probably a few years back, and we had so many different topics. And when we approached the conversation, it was very innocent. But we didn't realize the emotions that came with it. And we had a full audience at that time. And we had a whole list of 5-point thrusts: identity, politics, economics, history, and culture. We didn't get past identity. So every year we focus, the Doc Bookshop focus on a variety of different topics, but every year in July we focus on Africa and the African diaspora and all the great literature that is coming out to the public. Before we jump into the conversation, I just want to go around and have my round table introduce themselves.
I am author Stephanie M. Seaton, Christian fiction writer, some Christian nonfiction as well. I also am a publisher and host a podcast. Have a YouTube channel called the Stephanie M. Seaton Sunday Show. So I am just happy to be here today on the panel. Thankful to be here.
Hello, newly author Marlando C. Fields. My book is coming out When I Look Back. I'm also the owner of a 501c3 called Yesterday's Tomorrow. It was a traveling African American museum, and also a library called Faces, which stands for Fields African American Center of Education and Study, located out of Tyler, Texas.
And I'm Valerie Kelso, the founder and CEO of Purple Light Touch Foundation, PLT Massage and Wellness, the Don't Believe the Hype Show, and Value You. And I am also an author. I've written about 8 books. And if you want to know anything about me, just follow me on my Facebook page because there's too much for me to tell you.
Okay. And I am Donna Craddock. I'm one of the co-owners of the Doc Bookshop. And we'll stop there.
Okay. Before we get into the conversation, one thing I know that is very important is identity. But before we jump into identity, I want all of my panelists to really stop and reflect on their lineage. We know if you read the Bible, we know it goes to the lineage. And if you talk about Jesus Christ, it's 42 generations. Why is that important? And Monday, I read a book, African book, and part of that book is they have to be able to talk about their lineage. This is out of Somalia. They have to be able to talk about their lineage by the time they enter kindergarten. And sometimes it goes hundreds and hundreds of generations back.
Oh, wow.
But those children, Ion Circe is in an Ion Circe book. Those children have to be able to talk about their grandparents. Every generation, they have to have it memorized. And that is a part of matriculating into society, is to know your lineage. And why I think this is important for us to start a conversation, even though we're a small number here talking about it, I think we're going to get a lot done because, like I said, when we did this conversation before, it shut down, and I can tell you it shut down and cheers were thrown. Okay, That's how tough that conversation is. So
Yeah.
that's why I am just happy it's a smaller conversation,
Yeah.
but we need these smaller, intimate conversations to reach a broader audience and to solve some of the challenges that we have and the relationships that we have, relationship issues that we have amongst African and African Americans. So I'm going to go first while everybody's thinking about their lineage.
Okay.
I can say, my great grandparents, from what I understand it to be, is Rachel. Rachel was given to marriage to an enslaved African named was Harry. Harry stated that he was able to have, because he saved the master child, he was able to pick which enslaved African that he wanted to marry. Even though he was an African American at that time, because he was a generation into slavery, he picked the African woman, and her name was Rachel. Rachel begot. Rachel had a child, and Rachel's child was molested, what we would call molested, by the master, and they had 2 children. Raped. And they had 2 children, Edward and Zerilda. Edward, and we know a lot of Africans moved from the Carolinas to Kentucky to Missouri. Edward and Zerilda moved from Kentucky into Missouri. And from Kentucky, they had a child, and that child was Ed married into the Marmaduke family. Marmadukes enslaved Africans, so everybody knows about Marmadukes, right? So,
Why would everybody know the
because
Marmaduke?
it's a cartoon character. So again,
I thought that's all. Not talking about the
yeah, but that's the name that the Marmadukes is. So
Okay.
yeah, and so they had a slave woman that came out of the Carolinas, and her name was Ophelia. Ed and Ophelia got married. He lost connection with his sister, but Ed and Ophelia got married, and they had a child. And that child name was they had 9 children or so, but one of the children was Merle, which was my great grandfather. Merle married another woman. I can't think of her name right now because I'm dealing with my maternal lineage. Merle married a woman out of Missouri, and Merle was actually murdered. He was murdered for wanting his paycheck, but he had 1 child, and that 1 child, that was my great grandfather, my grandfather's grandfather. They had 1 child, and then they had my grandfather. And my grandfather had my mother, of course, and so my mother had me, so I can go back 13 generations.
Oh wow.
If that makes sense.
Whoa, I'm tired. That's why I will not repeat that. You share that. Okay.
I get it kind of choppy because I gotta have it memorized,
Yeah.
but you know, you have to learn those generations because they become important of who you are today, and everybody needs to take time and say, and then if you can't, it's why can't I? And why am I only going back 13 generations? Somebody in the whole on the continent is going back 100.
Jesus, wow.
I can imagine 100.
Yeah.
I can imagine that. But
At that
anyway.
age. At that age.
Right. I can imagine that. But
Okay, so I guess it's my turn. I'm gonna say up front, I probably can go back 4 generations.
Okay.
And hearing you talk about what the expectation is for the children over in the continent, that they are already learning this, it's kind of like, wow, I haven't really thought much about it. I'm being honest. I hadn't really thought much about it. That's my honest answer. But here in the moment, I was sitting here thinking in my mind, and I can go back 4 generations. Maybe it's part of the fact that my family doesn't really talk about where we came from. We don't have conversations like this in my family. And so I guess that is one of the reasons why this is so important. Because as I'm sitting here, I can only go back to 4 generations, which would be my great grandparents. On my mom's side, my great grandfather's name was Zachary Freeney. He was Black and Indian, and he married Allie Mae. And I don't even know her maiden name. I'm real, so I'm keeping it real 100%. I don't even know what her maiden name was. But they married and they had children. From that marriage, my grandmother Mary Alice Freeney, married my grandfather, James Leach. And then from that, they had my mom, and my mom married Billy Wayne Seaton. And so I came from Billy Wayne and Rosetta, and now I have my children. So I can go from there, but as I'm here right now in this moment, and I'm really kind of caught off guard because I didn't really realize how much I don't know that I probably should know. This is actually eye-opening for me right now. That I need to go.
Where's your family? How
So
are you in Texas with your family? Or are you in other places?
I'm in Texas, and as far as my dad's family, I can go back to my great grandmother. I never met my great grandfather on my dad's side. My great grandmother was also Black and Indian, so I just know for sure Black and Indian are on both sides of my family. Her name was Evangeline Allen.
All in Texas.
In Texas, yeah.
Okay.
They've moved outward now, but they were in different parts of Texas, Houston, Texas, Tyler, Texas, and now my dad's family lives in San Diego, California. A lot of them, but they were originally here in Tyler, Texas. So everybody that I'm speaking of was all true Tyler, Texas, just in those areas. But yeah, I got some researching to do because I think that the fact that my family doesn't have these conversations, like, when you all asked me to be on this panel, I started really thinking and researching. I started Googling, seriously. And it really hit me. And even more so now being here today, like, I really don't know. We don't talk about this. So, I thank y'all for having this discussion today and inviting me to be a part of it because, like, this is eye-opening for me that as a Black woman, I can't think past 4 generations because it's not been talked about. And I never thought of it to even bring it up.
But it's in the Bible, and it's kind of
Now, do you all have family unions?
So on my mother's side, barely. It's more about when people die.
Oh,
So that's the thing. When people die,
of course. Yeah.
you get together. On my father's side, there's family unions every so many years. But the thing is, I'm not really close. I'm just now developing a relationship with my father's family because when my parents got divorced, me and my sister were just there.
Right.
We were children that didn't get reached out to. And now we're adults and we are now getting to know family because we were able to go to them.
Wow. Okay.
So, adults should probably come to children, but that didn't happen. So now we're going to them for a relationship. And I'm grateful now that it's happening. Don't get me wrong. I'm very grateful. But when you think about lineage and where you came from, it's hard to figure that out when you haven't even been at the table. I'm being real. So
That's interesting. That's a whole nother conversation.
that's a whole nother conversation.
We'll go on that direction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, with myself, my lineage, my lifestyle is a bit of very, very complicated.
Okay.
I just recently, if I wasn't shifted around so much, and it's like even from my childhood, even going to the military, I would still shift around and force was around. And then as family members passed on, or those I was close to, even recently, like what I would consider my main two, my right and my left foot, they just passed. And so now there's the daddy side, which I wasn't really for as close to. I have about 7 brothers and sisters, close to 1. So trying to, then the maiden name of what we are, fields that they came from, that type of deal. I was able to, about 2 years ago, get with family members from the Delta, Mississippi. And they gave me the lineage for everything. I wanted to jump right into it because I had the books, how much people called, so I got everything. They gave my copy. They found out that they realized of what I do for Yesterday's Tomorrow and my Travel Museum. But then I wanted to wait and get with other family members for check and balances. And maybe waiting to get with them, I didn't need to do. I had it for right there. I have it. But as I wanted to, hey, Grandma, I heard this. Why y'all left the Delta Force, came down, did this, and all this stuff I heard, and then they passed away. So that kept happening. And then I'm in the military. And then, like, the one that knows and that will talk.
So your grandmother is from the Delta? Oh, okay.
We're from Mossville, Pascagoula, Mississippi.
Oh.
somewhere in Mobile, Alabama, more so for the Delta, Mississippi. Matter of fact,
Ooh, I bet
Both-
you got some rich history.
both sides of the family. You know, I would hear my grandma on my dad's side when I did come around say, "Yeah, I knew your mom, Baby Jane, when we was up in the Delta." And then the shipyard down in Ingalls was like the where to go and work at, you know. And so, both grandmas passed away. I was left with a whole bunch of different stories. Then the main uncle I would go to, there was one uncle that would be the matriarch, or I remember one time going to him and talking to him, asking him, and he flat out, "This uncle's cold. This uncle's could be cold." He said, "Let a lion dog lie." I was like, "What the?
What?
What does that mean?
He said what?
Let a lion dog lie."
That means don't open
that
up
can of worms.
Let a lion dog
Don't
lie.
open
So
that can of worms.
I had to turn around and say, I kind of caught on to
Just
it
let
as
that
he
go.
told a story about it. But then when I got his presents, I went to other cousins that were my age. I was like, "Man, look at man. Y'all know I ain't never here. I'm Ghost. Everybody, I call my everybody, I'm Ghost. I come through, I keep going, go to Florida." I said, "What in the world does let a lion dog lie mean?" And then that's what they told me, like you said. I didn't know that. But I let Uncle say what he wanted to say. And he said, "Oh," they just bust out laughing. I said, "Well, look, y'all think it's funny. I don't know what that means."
Because you really wanted to know.
Yeah, because I really was wanting to know. So it's the family that is that is still in the Delta. That's the one who I lean on, and they even asked me to take up the mantle of knowing everybody. I'm like, I appreciate it, but I don't even know us that's down here, you know, because you got the 7 or so on my mama's side, and you got the 8 or 9 or so on the grandma's side, and this grandma was just passed away, and then, you know, then this grandma was passed away, and then on this side, the main one to go to don't want to talk about, and then they can't pull the teeth.
So do y'all have family reunions?
It's been a while, but our maiden name from Fields has them all day long. Like my cousin just had one at Graves. They just had one that in Houston, and the photo was like 300 of them.
Wow.
It was a lot. It was a lot of yellow and blue shirts. Up and down. It was a lot. Looking at, I mean, they had the whole theme like wow, you know what you want to go to.
So your mom's side is Fields
Correct. Fields Graves.
Graves. Okay.
So in your estimate, you say you can go back 2 generations or 3?
you went to his grandmother. Oh, can you go to your great grandmother?
Just my grandma. I know about my great grandma, but I'm not going. That stuff I know. I'm not going to share that.
Oh. Okay.
So you found out some information. It's just
And when I
like
when
your
I confronted my
uncle
uncle
said,
that
leave
passed
it, let
the one uncle that did pass away, when I told him what I found out, he's like, "How did you find out that?" I was like, "Hey, is it true?" Like, yeah. I said, "Okay, all right."
So that's why he took the let
Great grandma was a
dog.
gangster. You know what I'm saying? All that, okay. Grandma was okay. All right, that's what that coming in for is the blood.
Okay.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right.
He said let lion dogs lie.
But remember that was on the daddy side.
Oh,
Oh, that was on your daddy's side.
Yeah, I know about my great grandma mom. I know a little bit about the one on my mama's side. A little bit I do know.
Okay.
On my dad's side, Mother, when she passed, we was just not starting to talk.
Okay.
Mother is like the other day. I was like, "Hey, is anybody can tell me if Mother is Indian?" Because Mother is bright eyes, sassiness out of this world. Used to tear my butt up with the switches. I didn't go around the family. Because every time I was introduced to go over and say hello, it came with a switch.
A lot of people say because they're bright, they think that they're mixed with something. But a lot of times you got enslaved Africans came out of Angola, and they are very bright.
Well, she was part Indian.
Yeah.
So she
But
Yeah,
you
I
know,
thought she was part
wasn't it with Henry Louis Gates being doing DNA
Mhm.
testing? He said everybody that thinks they have Native American in them,
No.
the ones that took the test, it's probably about less than
Mhm, they don't.
0.0%. It's not really that
It's
mixture
that
there.
Irish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that Irish.
He's not. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, Valerie.
Well, what can I say? My parents came from Jamaica. We wasn't taught a lot about. Once my dad came to England, more or less everything was cut off. It was like what was in Jamaica stays in Jamaica, and we had to learn the English way of life. But I did a little bit of research just before I came here, and my great grandfather, he was from Accompong Town in Jamaica, and that's where all the slaves came. You know, like when they went, some went to Haiti, some went to Jamaica. So my granddad was this color, real dark. But then my dad's mom, there was two. She had two children. So one of the child would be, she had two baby daddies, and so one half was Lakes, one half was Williams and Parkins, and so that's how it got mixed up in it. As it went down, most of my family members are all your complexion, but then my dad went over to the other side of Jamaica, met my mom, he was dark skinned, and from there we moved to England because my dad was in the Air Force. So I don't really know much about Jamaica until I went to Jamaica in 1982, because what they show you on TV was not what what was being taught to us was not what we really knew of Jamaica and about our ancestors and whatnot. So I've never met our grandparents. We didn't have family reunions. It was just our family and church peoples and things like that, and that was about it.
So you never met your dad's mother?
Never. She died in childbirth.
Oh.
So my dad took up the mantle for his sisters and all the rest of the family. So my dad was a real family man. So my dad had 12 of us. So I got 12 brothers and sisters. Yeah.
So this is an interesting topic.
Okay, wait. Okay,
So what's actually something?
so I know this is gonna sound crazy. So you have 12 brothers and sisters, all same mother and father?
All same mother and father.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Mom had one outside, so there's 13. So I got 6 younger than me, and I got 6 older than me. But 11 of us was all born in England. So if you want to trace back family generations, I can do that in England, no problem, because I've got all nieces and nephews. But we didn't have family reunions like how you have T-shirts and things like that made. That wasn't part of what we did in England.
So did you know any of your brothers, sisters, kids? Y'all?
Oh, my sisters, my siblings.
I mean, your father's. Your father's.
Yes, I knew my cousins, like my dad's sisters, immediate family.
Did they move to England with y'all?
Yes, my
Oh.
dad. With my dad, because my dad was the type of person he likes keeping family together.
Mm-hmm.
So his brother, his sisters, all about 4 of them came to England. 2 of them was in Jamaica, and I did go to Jamaica and meet them before they passed away. And it was the same with my mom's family. I didn't meet my first uncle on my mom's side till I was in my 30s when I took a trip to Jamaica, and then I met 2 of my mom's brothers when I went to Jamaica.
Okay, so you never met your mom's mom either?
No, I don't know anything about grandparents. Never met them.
So, yeah, go ahead.
So the island was split with light skin and dark skin?
Yes.
Oh yeah, it was very.
Oh
much-
yes.
It was?
So
Because
yeah.
I've heard of
Donna, you know that.
of Asian
I didn't.
Jamaicans.
So
I've met a lot of
Asian
Asian
Jamaicans. I seen
Jamaicans.
everybody.
they're not called Asian Jamaicans.
Oh, no, that's the best way I
They're
can.
called Jamaican Indians or West Indies.
Okay.
So like, is Donna here?
I'm done. Yeah, that's
Donna.
done.
You would get a job in the bank. Somebody in my complexion wouldn't get it because you're lighter. You would get all the things, and we wouldn't get all the what you would get. So you could go and work in a bank. Somebody in my complexion wouldn't be able to
In-house.
work.
I was gonna say
Yeah,
that.
it was the
same-
leads
so-
to the
Is
space
everything
mentality.
still going on?
It's not as bad as it was.
Wow.
It was a caste
Yes.
system when we
Yeah.
were down in Jamaica. When we studied down there, it was very much caste.
Yeah.
Light skin, dark skin.
Light skin.
The light skins got a better job,
Mhm.
and the dark skins were like the servants. In
Yeah.
a lot of places,
Going out doing the yard
Yeah.
work, getting crops, going to the market. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So when you talk about prejudice and racism, it can happen all about. So
So for your lineage, then you can really, you just got your family, really. You don't have your grandmother.
Basically
or
one generation.
great-grandmother.
yeah.
But if we
When
model
I,
after,
when I knew about my granddad, I had a picture of him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did get a picture of my great granddad, and that was my granddad because it was my dad's dad.
So you go back 2 generations, your
Yes.
grandparents in Jamaica.
Yeah, because they came from the slavery and they moved to Jamaica to Accompong. Then after that, they split up and son went to St. Elizabeth. And that's where you'll see a lot more light-skinned people in St. Elizabeth. But my mom was from the east, and they were a little bit darker. So, yeah.
so that's the knowledge, the extent of generations going back. So I'll go ahead. Those that are tuning in, we're having our conference, our annual conversation.
That was
Africa.
This is good.
We're having our annual conversation, Africa and African diaspora, and I talked about lineage. You know, just dealing with we are also Christian based, and I know they deal with 42 generations in the New Testament, such and such. We got such and such, and it's a reason for that. It is so important. So we just went around and talked about our lineage as to kick off
As
the
far as back as we can go.
as we can go. And I do want to close out this segment is when Ayan Hirsi wrote her book, she talked about Somalia and the importance of the children to learn their lineage. In addition, they learn their maternal and their paternal lineage. So I'm going to close out this segment with my paternal lineage out of Tyler, Texas, Smith County. And it begins with Luke Irwin Sr. And they said Luke Irwin Sr. was a Watusi. He was very tall. My son is very tall to this day. And he had Luke Jr. Luke Jr. begot my grandmother, which is Stella Rankins, and her auntie was tall. They're tall. She was bent over and very tall. And then that begot my father. And so that's the 7 generations on my father's side. So I think it's just very important just to get that lineage and understand that lineage. And even if you haven't met that person, just know that you can go back this far and move it forward. You have children, so now you know that how important that is to have that conversation. And sometimes you may be the start of that lineage. Your children will be telling your story. So again, we're going to close out that segment and move on to how do you identify yourself. Before we do that, Donnie, did you have a question that you want to go or you want to?
No. Did you want me to have a question?
No.
Are you looking up something?
Well, I want to deal with how do you identify yourself because some of us.
Oh, like if someone, I think we need to.
Yeah, how do you identify yourself? Some people now they got a conversation where they call them foundational Black person, and then there's just different.
Well, let's just deal with our folk here.
Okay.
As far as
I'm just setting up the conversation. Why is that important? That is extremely important. Why we have to see how we identify. Just real quick, just real quick conversation. And then I want to read something to you about what they said. What about Ethiopian person said about Africans from the diaspora. So I identify as an African American. And I just identify as African. I don't say just American. I say African American, and I'm okay with it. I don't know. I don't say Black because I follow Dr. John Hyman Clark, and he said Black is just a color on the color spectrum. Sometimes it wields no strength, power, and it doesn't tie to you anything that's important, which is land, economics, family, and relationship. It doesn't tie you. It's just really a color on the color spectrum. But even though we empower it by just our very nature, but when you identify yourself in terms of to a landmass, you become a different type of person, and your existence and your purpose and how you move through life is different.
I identify as African American. Even though I've never been to Africa, I know that lineage-wise, if we went all the way back, that's where we were from. That's my belief. America, because I was born in America. If I'm filling out an application or resume or something to that effect and it has on there Black, I really don't like that. And the reason I don't like that, because Black means Negro, which is close to nigger. When people say Negro, and it's another cultural saying it, to me it's still like saying nigger. I feel like it's a slang. It's a slander. It's just like white Mexican, right? So I prefer when I'm filling out something for it to say African American. I think it has more respect on it, just from my perspective. Because when people usually say black, just black, they're digressing us, and so I don't like that. I think it's a slap in our face. So yeah, I identify as African American.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, I gotta say the same thing. I identify as African American. When it comes down to doing applications, also, I don't. If it has black, I skip all over that. I just African American. If they have it, I just put my name, and therefore it's turned on. It goes back to the. To me, it started back with the. I have a 31-year-old, and I remember I wanted to name my daughter something, and me and the mom was going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and she's big time corporate America. And she was like, nope, they're not going to get the application, look at it, and toss it. Back then, the rumor was they get the application with her first name in it. Even though I want her to be named Ashanti, there's an Ashanti tribe, all that. No, that's going to turn around. And the Ashanti tribe might know that's powerful and that's good, but here in America, Ashanti is that singer. They were Nelly. No. You know what I'm saying? She's a black girl, so that was one of the things to me, not taking a stab at Ashanti, but that was the thing to me. Well, I just leave it for black. I'm African American. I understand for the middle passage.
Who did they end up being your daughter?
Ashley.
Ashley, okay.
Ashley. We ain't going no name, ASHELLY. We ain't just, they know Ashley.
Ashley.
And I'm going to tell you, for the longest, I would have with that. For the longest, I went that. And then we threw that middle name, and I was like, you got to be kidding me.
What's the middle name?
Morgan.
Ashley.
Ashley
Oh,
Morgan.
she could go. Yeah, she passing all
Exactly.
the.
Exactly.
She getting in
Yeah.
the fight.
She getting right now. She getting
So
the
I give it to the mom, I give it to her. But like I said, I wasn't crazy about it. I wanted,
Right.
I
You
wanted
want
to
to
go.
have some.
Exactly. Hey, my name is Cuban. My name is Marlon, which comes from Orlando. My middle name is Saleo. Saleo is Cuban. And then you put fields in there. I was like, what were y'all thinking? Florida, Cuba, Bahamas, Pascagoula, like,
When they see your application, they're gonna pause for a
yeah,
minute.
exactly.
Okay,
Well, let's go to the first name, Marlando. Got dos in there. That's Spanish, so he speaks Spanish. Nah, but he's appreciated. But that's with me. Same way I identify Belle.
Me, what can I say? I don't identify myself as being African. I would just call myself. If somebody asked me who I am, I was just telling my name is Valerie, because it's nobody's business who I am.
Sure.
And if I have to fill in the application, I'll put other, because what am I going to say? I'm from Africa, I'm from Jamaica, I'm from England, I'm from the US, I'm now living in the USA. No, because that's complicated. My name is Valerie, and that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Accept me for who I am, or leave me alone.
Wow.
Valerie ain't no joke. Okay.
I love that too. I love what she said. It brings me to the thought of the rule, and I don't know the name of the rule that started a long time ago, that if you have one drop of black, you're black.
Oh.
So this, I think, is part of still what's going on within, even with the light skin in the house, outside, the black skin. This is still that slavery mentality, and it also has to do with how we treat each other. Light skin this, red bone this. It still has us in dividing amongst ourselves because of that ideology. But I think when I see black, like to apply for a job, why do you need to know what race I am? Shouldn't this be more about my qualifications for the job? But it's true, based on what your name is, and I'm HR all day. I managed dental offices for the last 18 years, and I'm gonna be honest. When I look at a resume, when I look at an application, if that name ain't quite right, I'm being honest, you don't get an interview. I do not. If I can't look at that name and think, I'm on the line for this hire. If I make the wrong hire, I'm being honest, if I make the wrong hire, it's on me. So do I qualify candidates based on their names? Sometimes I do.
Okay.
I
I identify as I do both actually. I do African American and I do black.
Yeah, I do both too, but
American because I do believe my lineage goes back to Africa. You know, especially when I look at the different features, whatever, it's African. And then American because, of course, born here, I'm American. So African American, and I do Black because living in America, we have to deal with that. That's just our reality as far as the racism. And so I like the fact that it is complicated because, you know, this is where we got stuck before in our conversation. Because back then, we had some people, and I still believe in the mindset of Black power. Because Black is, when they talk about Black is an experience. I like when one of the historians talked about that. I mean, if I say I'm Black, that means when I'm dealing with this system that we're in, you know what side of the system I'm on. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and that Black travels. It goes from here to Mexico to South America to Africa to Europe. You know, it's all over Asia. They dealing with the same thing as far as this experience, and so it's complicated. You know, I wish we were in the world where I could just say I'm Donna, and it doesn't matter. But unfortunately, when if an officer was to stop me, and if I was to have an experience, they would quickly categorize me as a Black person. That's just the reality of it. I mean, I can tell them I'm Donna all day long, you know, but they don't care what they see is a Black person, and I have to deal with how they're going to, you know.
It's also because sometimes when we come across and we see a police officer, we get slightly aggressive. And if you talk to somebody,
oh, not Harley.
No, sometimes, you know what I mean.
Yeah, that would be the right thing to do. History.
Sometimes we can, as soon as they see a Black person, they automatically expect this, so they already put their back home.
But that is still not true. Usually when but it's not true. That's a false narrative.
That's stereotyping.
That's such a false narrative because usually when officers encounter Black people, if anything, because of our history, we're usually more subservient, humble, and trying not to get killed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So
we're less aggressive.
We're humble.
Actually, your Caucasian ones, when they get arrested,
they're cocky.
they're more aggressive than we are. When we get stopped by the cops,
They're more aggressive. They try to diffuse it.
Yeah,
African
and the cops
Americans,
try
they
to
do certain
diffuse
things to create triggers, and so that triggers put them in a different type position. Now they're defensive and they feel that but they create triggers because, again, unless we start studying ourselves in these books and know who we are as a people, everybody else is studying, and everybody understands those triggers. So that when they want to create a situation or dissentence among people, they know how to pull.
But then they're being aggressive with us.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, because they automatically think they've got us, Black people. It's like when they say women, we just Black women. You understand what I'm saying? Like, what did they used to call us?
Angry Black
women. But we're not angry Black women. We know what we want in life, and we're not going to always make people push us over. So when the police sees a Black woman or a Black guy, automatically they think that we've been trained that he's an aggressor, but technically they are the aggressor because they've been trained to be the aggressor.
Exactly.
But you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they're looking at us that we're going to be the aggressor, but technically they've been trained that no, they are the aggressor.
Yeah.
But if you don't know this, so sometimes you have to sit back and say, okay, do what you have to do. Sometimes you have to, my mom and my dad used to say, play fool to catch wise.
Right. Right.
You see what I'm saying? It's like a young girl came into my business. The first week she walked in, she says, hello. And I says, hello. and she was really nice and cordial. The second time she came back in, she says, "Hello, black lady."
Mm.
Did she really say that?
Yes, she did.
Unnecessarily.
Yeah.
"Hello, black lady, but last week when I came in, you never noticed my color."
Mhm.
But that means between 1 week to another, her mom must have said, "Oh, we're going to go and see the black lady."
Mhm.
So I looked at her and I says, "I'm
Oh,
not
a little
black."
girl.
A little 6
Okay,
years
okay,
old.
okay.
Yeah,
It
there
was
was a
training. It was
discussion.
training to her.
Yeah,
Okay.
there was a
The
discussion.
first week
Yeah.
she came in, she says hello, and I says hello, and we was nice and cordial. She comes back in the following week, and she looks at me and says, "Hello, black lady."
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I says, "Hello, white girl."
What did the mother say?
"I'm not white." I says, "Yes, you are." Right? She says, "I'm not white," and I says, "Well,
What
you
color
are."
are you?
So she says, "I'm not white. I'm pinkish."
Mm.
Trying to find it.
Trying to.
Trying to
That's
deflect.
it.
Trying to
But
deflect.
yeah, so when she says, "And I know you're not black. I know you're darkish brownish, but you call yourself black, so I'm calling you black." This is
wow.
That's 6-year-old.
6-year-old girl said this to me.
Oh
Right.
wow.
By the time I finished working with her mom, she drew a picture of a heart with me, nice green, smiling, and she standing beside me, holding my hand and everything. She gave me a nice little black heart. And then she saw Michael in the place and she says, "Bye, black man."
Wow.
But that's children.
Wow.
So that tells you if you children
Yeah.
sometimes make their own observations, right? They
Yeah.
do.
But
So sometimes
was
it's
taught,
indoctrinated.
That was
Yeah.
taught.
That was taught to her.
Yeah.
That was
That's
taught.
what
Six.
Because at
There's
first she
been
didn't even
some
notice. She was
conversation.
did
Yeah.
And she being sassy too. She was being
Yeah.
sassy.
Yeah, first
And
she
the
was
last
a kid. She
little
was a
bit, she
child
did
coming into the
But
store.
if you have a child, say if that child is in the classroom with all white people and our teachers white,
Yeah.
so when she sees the black, she's going to know immediately because she doesn't have to deal with bills and all this stuff. So she's dealing with everything that's right in front of her. She doesn't know the hardness of life like we do right now. That our minds are distracted. So that's what they're taught. And they look at color, so they're going to see things, and so we can't underestimate the child's perfection. And she would go back to her mom and say, "Well, where did she come from? I look at white people all day long, you know." And sometimes this is probably her first interaction. She probably seen it on TV, but now I don't know.
And mom,
Her
listen.
mom, it was a second
No.
interaction. Her mama had taught her when she went
If
back.
she'd have
She was happy about meeting her the
She
first
was
time.
happy the first time.
And then when she went,
But when the
her
second
mama
time
realized
she
how happy
comes
she
in,
was,
so
her
she-
mama flipped it.
So and mom probably
Yeah,
says,
her mama flipped
"Oh,
it.
we're going to go and see the black
Yeah.
lady."
To let you
Right.
know ahead of time.
That where we're going,
That's
because
what we're
she's
doing.
one of those little girls that would say, she's very, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I already knew the mother would have had to have said to her. And so I just called her out, "Hello, white girl." Because you know what I mean? She was shocked when I said it to her because at the end of the day, you didn't say that to me last week. So
Yeah.
don't come in my place and think you're now just going to come in and say anything and anything to me. Remember, I was born in England. My classroom was full of white people. I didn't know I was black when I was in England. I didn't even know I was speaking a different language.
So the other students never.
No,
Interesting.
I
Okay.
never, you know,
But never let them know.
we never knew. You know when I knew I was talking black?
When you came here.
No,
Oh.
was when I brought 2 white friends over to my at dinner time for lunch, and they said to me, "Oh, you speak another language?" No. They said, "Yeah, you were speaking another language to your dad." I was
that
speaking
dialect,
Patois.
that dialect.
Jackpot.
Right?
That
But all
dialect.
this time, I never knew I was speaking another dialect.
She knew you know the change about who you was talking to. You dealing with
Yeah.
family, and that's what's in the household.
You understand what I'm
Interesting.
saying?
Gotcha.
I never,
They pointed
so
it
I
out.
didn't know, and I'm talking about senior school. I'm not talking about 9, 10. I'm talking about 11, 12 when I was in senior school.
Mhm.
That was when I realized I was speaking Patois to my dad.
Wow.
But up until then, I was brought up in England.
You were saying?
Mhm.
Like when Obama the other day was saying hello to the USA basketball team, it's
Yeah.
a meme where he was dapping everybody, and when he got to the white dude, he did like
Shook
that
their hand.
and shook his hand. That's what she did.
Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
thing with Obama. You know what I'm talking about when he greeted the USA basketball team.
Because even if I go to Jamaica, they don't look at me as a Jamaican.
Yeah.
I'm British.
Especially with that accent, yeah.
Right? Even
If you didn't talk, you might be
No,
you
no, no,
probably
no.
could pass. But when you
If
talk,
I call my sister right now and started to talk to my sister right now, you wouldn't understand the word I was saying.
Cause you relate
She relate back. She
Automatically
relate back, yeah.
Well, because that's
She
what
relate back.
And we do that too. What
Yeah.
they call we do that too as African Americans.
Yeah.
We do that too.
you wouldn't even understand the
No.
word I was saying.
Go
Kind of like in corporate America, we talk. It's
Because
kind of
when
like
my
in corporate
sisters-
America,
when
we
she
have to
starts
speak a
talking,
certain
and
way.
the-
Cause your sister is where?
in England,
But y'all still talk back for
we
us.
still
Yeah.
talk.
But you know, we had to when we studied it, and you know, we studied at the University of West Indies. I stayed in Papine, and so she stayed in Graceland or wherever you stayed. We had to read patois before we even went to Kingston, where we lived, and stayed at the.
You had to do it because they wouldn't understand the words you were saying.
Yeah, they had to, and they said whatever you do, don't say bumble clock, don't call nobody with bumble clock, don't say bumble clock, don't.
You know what I'm saying?
Some cars normally like
Huh?
cuss them out. It's really
So
like,
why you saying it
No,
now?
I was talking to an African American. But okay, I want to take this conversation because we went deep, y'all. We did go.
Yeah.
But I gotta know
And
my last point. Then I'm gonna turn this.
we
segment-
never get past too much past identity, do we?
Let me read this one thing.
It's 4:30 already. So
It's 4:30 already. Oh my God. Okay, I'm gonna read this.
wait a minute.
We're gonna have to respond.
Questions.
Okay, Donna, wait. We're gonna have y'all. We're talking about Africa and African diaspora. I'm gonna read this statement.
Someone's asking. Wait a minute. Someone is asking which part of the UK is this lady from Birmingham from?
Birmingham North, that side.
Oh, Birmingham North.
Yeah, I'm close.
Klaus.
Yeah, no, I'm close.
close.
Yeah.
You're close. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The accent. I'm sorry.
What does that mean?
I'm close. In other words,
There are countless videos that show Black Americans wilding out at police officers, and there's countless videos you probably don't see with us being yes sir, yes ma'am.
Or going into tears.
Going to tears. We trying to make it home,
saying,
please.
I had an experience where I literally was pulled over for speeding. I was on my way home from a work-related event, and this was right after everybody was talking about, I can't breathe, and we're having this high anxiety between blacks and police. And I got stopped for speeding, and literally I sat there, and as the officer walked up to my car, I started crying. I literally started crying. In fear, I started crying because I did not know if I was going to make it home to my child that day, because it could have went left and I wouldn't have had to do anything to initiate it going left. From what I've seen, there was nothing. Me just sitting in my car could have ended in the officer shooting me, and he would have gotten off. That's what's happening, right? Mm-hmm. And so I literally just started crying. And so as they were asking me, like, where are you going? Where you come from? I said, I just went to a meeting in Dallas. I was trying to get home to go pick my son up. I explained everything. I was too scared to move. I didn't do nothing until he said do it. Because in my head, I have to go home to Isaiah.
Right.
So
you're trying to make it home.
Yeah. So we don't want to show aggression because we want to go home.
That's right.
We want to go home to our families,
Yes.
To show aggression would be the stupidest thing to do if you are black or brown.
The other day I was pulled over. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, you can.
The other day I was pulled over and the cop did something I had freaking flipped out. I got pulled over. Cop come in. I mean, I passed by him and I was probably out of eye to him. He looked at me, I looked at him. He swung around so fast. I said, here we go. I'm so used to it when they swing around real aggressive like that. Pulled into the bank. He pulled it behind me, got out, came over to me. And I was like, how aggressively his car squealed for him to come after me from here to that door. I just knew that, okay, here we go, about to be some action. And he was very polite. I had to give it to him. Now, no offense, it's just my experience. I've been in Tyler since 2012. I'm from Orlando, Florida. I've been in the city. I've been in the country, the whole nine. I have been pulled over in Tyler, Texas more times than I have been pulled over in my life. Mm-hmm. Tyler, I have had more guns drawn on me in Tyler, Texas than I have ever had anywhere. Mm. I had one cop pull me over. I looked, saw the cop. I ain't thinking nothing about him. Me and the cop talking. I know they're trying to do the whole, one is supposed to talk to me. I have a criminal justice background. One supposed to be talking to me and distracting me while the other was trying to force search the car. I turned back around. I had 7 cops. Mm. And the thing that messed them all up was I knew them. And when I started picking them off, I know you move like that, and I told them they backed off. I had another one that came to my house. I was someone looking at a car. He turned around. They followed me all the way home, and this cop was slow creeping. That was when everybody was getting killed. I too started to cry because nothing was wrong. I did nothing. And when those cops came out the way they were coming at me, I was laughing and smiling the whole time because I couldn't believe this was happening. I was laughing because I was like trying not to show was I was mad, but at the same time, inside I was like, this could probably was it. The one time I don't cut my lights on and have my security system on, this is when the cops come, and it was totally dark, and I had nothing. All they kept saying in the back of my SUV was, "Where's the other guy? Where's the other guy? Where's the other guy? Where's the other guy?" There is no other guy. He would not get off. There was no other guy in mine. At nighttime, in the dark, with a black SUV with tinted windows, he couldn't see through it, so he wouldn't get off of it. And the other cop had said something, and it triggered where I was. And I said something back to him. I said, "Oh, this got to be about blah, blah, blah." He said, "Yeah." He turned around, told me, "Stand aside," made a phone call, and then they said, "Okay, all right," and then Forrest walked away. But besides that, they was about to light me up. And then the other incident is in my book.
Whew,
Wow.
that's a
It's real stuff.
Yeah, so
And at the end of the day, regardless of how, and for the record, at the end of the day, regardless of how we identify ourselves, we all Black.
yeah.
When we come up against people, the system, we don't get a chance to open our mouths and say how we identify. We are Black. We are all categorized as Black. And that's why I said I don't like to see Black on something, because Black is not an opportunity for explanation. Black is a label that you got 1% drop. That's why I don't like Black.
Let me before y'all do this, I want to go to that takes me to the next question. I do want you guys to respond to it.
Hold on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I do want to clarify something. I have not always been pulled over by whites. I've been pulled over by whites, Blacks, and Hispanics.
Oh, and that was one of the questions. What if the officer is Black?
Yeah, a Black. In my encounter, to be truthfully honest, my encounter with being pulled over by Blacks is
The same.
darn near, or maybe an inch below for us being pulled over by whites with force aggression.
Well, you know what happened to them Black police officers did to that young Black man in Memphis.
You know,
Yeah.
It's more so like a menace to society.
But that
type,
was
you know.
personal about the woman.
Yeah, so I mean, just to let that be known, they haven't all been Black.
Yeah.
White, Black, Hispanic, the incident, a white woman.
Okay, Donnie, get your phone where just in case my phone may die. But I do at the beginning of every year, we usually look at different causes that we can get behind, because we deal with African literature, African diaspora, and one last year or maybe the year before that, we were looking at Ethiopia and Tigray and the civil war that they were having in Ethiopia. But when I was looking at that civil war in Ethiopia, I do my research like you do your research before we get involved. And then I came across this post by the prime minister of Ethiopia, and I would like to see how you guys will respond. In this article, it says, this is the prime minister of Ethiopia. African Americans' ongoing struggle for equality should be seen as inspiring lesson for other subjugated peoples. Abiy Ahmed, the prime minister of Ethiopia, who came to power primarily as a result of the youth protest movement known as Kunura, but y'all can look this up, has talked about cultural attitudes behind different communities. Relative success twice in the last 2 years by comparing the development of Jewish Americans and the underdevelopment of African Americans. Abiy argued that Jews have become prosperous and powerful Americans by forgetting their past oppression, while Blacks have caused their own suffering and underdevelopment by focusing on their past victimization. The 2019 Nobel Peace Prize winner asserted that American Jews collectively decided to avoid dwelling on their past. They got a movie coming out every year, but that's okay. Mistreatment and took forward this is Ethiopia, to their future achievement. On the contrary, he said, by focusing on their racial oppression and exploitation and by ignoring their future, African Americans have remained at the bottom of U.S. society. And, okay, I'm going to go and read the other part too. And then I'm going to let you guys, how would you respond to that? The Jews have made a decision as a people. They have said, yesterday we were tortured, oppressed, and discriminated against. If we merely continue to talk about the past, we won't go far enough. We need to have a winning vision so that we will be equipped with better knowledge and wealth than the whites who have been victimizing us and then ruled us. On the other hand, the blacks continue to sing and complain about being oppressed and tortured, saying the whites did this and did that to us. To this day, they blacks have not gotten anywhere. What about the other guys, the Jews? The media belongs to them. The banks belongs to them. Everything belongs to them. While sitting there in the U.S., the Jews protect and support the small country Israel. Every policy of the United States of Arab countries is entirely decided by the Jews because they have so much power. The premier, okay. So I'm going to stop there. Okay, doing
That's a good place to stop.
Huh?
That's probably a good place to stop because we don't have that much time. So there's a lot to that. We're gonna stop right there. Okay.
Huh?
I just call it let line don't lie. That's basically what you're saying. They saying the same to the blacks do let line
They're
don't
telling
lie.
us to get over it.
Move on. Yeah.
Yeah, they're sending it
But
over.
you know those narratives right there. That's the narrative of and a poor assessment of like we don't have count the number of movies. The Holocaust. That's an important part of history. That's an important part that will never be forgotten.
Right.
Yeah, I just think a lot of people have a great misunderstanding, particularly African Americans and our experience. Let's just say that I think a lot of people, like the person from Ethiopia, I really don't think you can compare, but you can't compare our tragedies. You know what I'm saying? Yes, the Jews had their Holocaust, but what they experienced and what we experienced is not quite the same, and nor is it on the same level as far as longevity, the time frame. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, we're dealing with over, what is it, 300 years, 400 years?
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, when people compare the two, I would say don't even compare. I mean, don't even go there because you really can't compare.
Yeah.
And it's not fair. It really is not fair. And yes, the Jews have suffered. All groups have suffered. Native Americans, everybody have suffered. Even the Irish, everybody have suffered. But, and I'm not saying we negate their experiences because we don't.
Yeah.
But we don't like to compare their experiences with ours because it was more atrocious. It was I shouldn't say more because but the length of it. You know what I'm saying? It's not the
point
same.
a mile, but
Yeah.
that's what it is.
And that's why it was horrendous. It was just horrendous, you know. And it was over a wide span of time. And not only that, but so much was taken. You know, so much was taken. I mean, the Jews was able to keep a little bit more than the African that was enslaved. I mean, they lost.
They got level reparations. You had a response.
Yeah, and they got reparations. We didn't, you know, it's just so when people talk like
And they're
that,
still getting funding.
to me, they're showing their ignorance of history.
To me, you have to look at love and skin color. It was a white on white crime. Ours is white on black crime.
Mhm.
And the white on black crime is still going on today.
There you go.
But at the same time, and I'm going to be, some of what you just read, I do agree with it. I'm from England, and I'm now, hear me out, I'm from England, right? And we don't get the opportunities that you all get in this country. We don't get it. But yet, we're willing to go out and do something different to make a change for our siblings and our children and whatnot. But sometimes over here, it's like, when I was oppressed, but you was not oppressed, it was our foreparents that were oppressed.
Do you really think that?
Let
That's
me
interesting to me.
finish. It was our foreparents
Yeah, I see where it's shifting here.
that was oppressed.
Yeah.
So now we need to make something different for our children. Just because I always tell people, just because mommy was a crackhead, daddy was a crackhead, your foreparents was a crackhead, you don't have to become a crackhead. You can make that change and do something different for you, right? I mean, I left England and I came over here at the age of 48. I could have turned around and said, well, my dad my dad and my mom never worked. My dad took care of my mom. I'm going to get a man and do the same thing, but I didn't choose that because I wanted something better for me. You understand what I'm saying? Sometimes when I hear people always going on about the same thing, then do something. Like this year now is doing something different. You're looking for a change. How can we change the narrative of what they've taken? We can't change it because trauma is always going to be trauma, but at the same time, you can learn to deal with the trauma. If I was in a domestic violence relationship, am I going to turn around and make my domestic violence relationship make me stay where I am, or am I going to do something different for somebody else? Like what we was talking earlier on,
Right.
we chose to do something different for somebody else. You understand what I'm saying? That's why you're doing, because you don't want to be in the same rut as everybody else, right?
Right.
So what I'm saying is, we need to make a change, and we can make a change, right? Yeah, they took everything from us, so let's start taking things back. Let's start reclaiming who we are and getting our own identity back. Instead of making them tell us that, oh, you're black, you're this, you're that. No, we know who we are as a nation and as a people. Look at Oklahoma and the bombing. They stripped everything from Oklahoma. Why can't Oklahoma build up back whatever that was taken from them? Because we believe, well, they've taken it, so how are we going to claim it back? If it starts with somebody.
Okay, my question is to you. If you agree with all that and everything,
I didn't
right or
say
wrong?
I agree with all of it.
You
I
understand?
said some. Yes.
Some of it.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So
This is an
is it
article.
okay? Is it all right to turn around and take the Black history out of the books because they don't want to make somebody else feel like they was responsible for it, so what happened?
No, because you know what? Like I said, when I was in England, I didn't know about roots. I didn't know about half of the things that happened over here.
I
We
understand.
didn't understand none of those things. I didn't know about
But
those
now
things.
right now they're talking about Black history doesn't need to be forced in because they don't want to make somebody else feel like they were uncomfortable. What are your views on that?
We all have to feel uncomfortable at times.
So you're okay with the history being in because everybody need to know.
Yeah, because we need
Okay,
to know.
because
who
every
we are.
year we still got the same topic, we're still going around, and
That's what I'm
only
saying.
one topic is getting watered down every year.
So then we need to stop watering it down.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'd like
asking.
to say something.
Okay,
Can I
just to, yeah, I want you to answer that.
Yeah.
Just for people that tuning in, we're reset. We just read an article of what Abiy Ahmed stated about African Americans and always claiming victimization while the Jews have progressed in this country. So again, we're still dealing with the relationships amongst African and African Americans and the different perspectives around the world. And so Stephanie's about to respond to this article that I just read.
So I don't agree with the article. I think it's a personal experience, and I respect what Valerie is saying. Her perspective is an outside perspective,
Like the Prime Minister.
kind of like the Prime Minister. So that's why you can identify with it more. Being a Black African American woman actually in the United States, it's not something that I chose to be labeled Black every day. I like I said, I identify as African American, which means that I have something to me, you know. When we look at just being Black and that Black mentality, we are judged on that by the color of our skin when we walk into a room, when we do it. It's not something that we asked for. It's been put on us. And so the acknowledgement of it is reparations have not been made. Reparations, I don't know if they'll ever be made, not on earth anyway. But to ask a generation, to ask a lineage, to ask a people to forget where they came from and what they went through because you don't want to take responsibility that you put them through it. That's a tough pill to swallow. It's just like saying, you know, I stepped on your toe and you say you hurt my toe and I say, no, I didn't hurt your toe. I just stepped on your toe.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell me how I feel
That's right.
because you stepped on my toe.
Mm-hmm.
They, the powers that be, annihilated, you know, pretty much our belief system of who we were empowered to be, who God created us to be. And we had to reinvent that Because when you split us up and you divided us and you made women watch their husbands be raped, watch their husbands be demasculated, watch the women go into the house
husband
and
watch
be
their wives
raped, and then watch their wives
And children
be
watch
raped,
their
and the children watch their mothers
a
be
lot.
raped, they watch
and
their
stripped
fathers.
away.
Yes, and then we are, as a culture, are supposed to respect Black men. But even back from slavery, these women who were being treated as such, as long as they were inside the house, were treated better than. And then they're supposed to respect and honor this man that's their husband when they just saw him bent over. And you say, we need to get over it? That's all. I mean, the reality, and I'm not talking about you specifically, I'm talking about culture. I'm talking about to say that Black people need to stop talking about where they came from. We will never stop talking about
Just
where
like
we
the
came
Jews.
from.
Just like the Jews.
The only difference is we're still living it every day, and it's not because we even have to say we're Jew. People that are Jewish don't have, they can say, oh, I'm Jewish. You wouldn't know. People that are Black, you're Black when you walk in the room. You're Black.
Exactly.
We don't have to say it. It's something that's attached to
Oh
us.
my God.
So when you say the comparison, and this is what I'm trying to get people to understand,
She speaks better than me.
it's a reality to be Black. It's a whole movement to be Black. Like you said, it's universal Black. If I go to, no matter where I go, I'm going to be treated Black because I walked in the room. Not because you asked me if I was Black or if you asked me if I'm Jewish. And so to tell me to forget something that you're still reminding me about every day, how do you tell me to forget something and every time I come in contact with you, you remind me?
It's crazy.
Can somebody explain that to me?
Well, that's a
before we go-
judgment.
before we go
I'm
any
having him
Yeah.
introduce himself,
Yeah.
but that's a judgment
Yeah.
that a whole prime minister of a nation
Yeah.
in a
You
speech
just have a
talking
complete misunderstanding.
African Americans.
Yeah.
And you got a war-torn country right now. But you
Yeah.
talk about judging African Americans
Yeah.
and being victimized, and you praise the Jews
Yeah.
who got a lot of their wealth from African American communities. Go ahead, guys.
Okay, so I'm excited because my friend Saku, you made it. Saku, he came. I'm not saying it's Saku. Am I saying it right? What is it? Say it.
Yeah.
Say your name.
Sucrete.
Saku. Okay, he came in the store, and I said, please come to our discussion because we're going to be having our African Diaspora Roundtable, and we would love for you to kind of share on the roundtable as well. So real quick, just kind of say your name and where you're from. We're going to basically, we're going to catch you up to where we are. So
We ain't got that far as usual. And if you can say your lineage
Yeah,
too.
well, first,
Okay.
just
My name is Sukui Gabriel. Sukui means the end. So the end why? Because my mom, when she was pregnant with me, she was, they are waiting 9 months, nothing happened. They're waiting 10 months, nothing happened. 11 months, that's where I born, 15, 11. So for 11 months,
you stayed in for 11 months.
11 months.
You stay in the mom.
Take your time, brother.
I born in 15, 11, and I stay in the belly of my mom 11 months.
11 months.
My dad, my grandpa, he called me Sukui. Sukui in my language, that means the end. That means now everything is settled down. So, this is the meaning of my name. And I'm originally from South Sudan. South Sudan, before it was Sudan, one country. And then because of religion issue, discrimination issue, that's all is coming global. And that's how people from South Sudan decide that we want to be Christian, the Muslim be Muslim. Because the North, the majority they are Muslim, South, majority they are Christian. That's how they fight and
Is Darfur in the south or the north
Darfur is in the west.
of Sudan?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Northwest or southwest?
No, west.
Northwest. Okay. Okay.
So,
Because you heard a lot about Darfur back in the day.
yes, Darfur is just
Yeah.
recently they have that war,
Yeah.
and then, but that war even it was brain because people from Darfur they are Muslim, but the 1800 there was Christians, and even when you guys talking about the Jews, people from Israel, when we return back to the history, the people from Darfur, the majority of them, they was going up and down because Israel before it was the North Africa. So people go in and come back, and they have the culture still Israeli on them. And then when they come their religion, like the 10 people, they become a religion because we have a sister, they call her Sister Bekita. She's from Darfur. She's Catholic, and that's how people knowing that the Darfurian people they are not even Muslim. Recently, when that war came, because they used them before to go fight with South Sudan, they say those people they are Christian. In Arabic, they call kufar. Kufar means people who don't have religion, and they take them by the black. So, and after when they open their eye, they find that this is all his fault. And then war coming to them, and they run again to South Sudan. The majority of them right now in South Sudan. And we didn't act to them, we didn't return back the payment. They just leave them like that. So
We got to talk more about that later, about that whole war with Christian and Muslims and.
Yeah, I have a book
Yeah, we
on
gonna
that talks about
Okay, so
your lineage. Now, can you how many generations can you go back in your lineage? Being that you may be close to the Horn of Africa, I know they really focus on lineage.
you know, we go with the tribe because the tribe who can make you where you are and where you are. So in South Sudan, start from Egypt, coming to Sudan, up to South Sudan, all that Egypt up to Syria.
Yeah, but
all
it's-
that place.
But how do
as
you
far
know?
as you,
Coming.
are you going?
Oh, okay. we ain't used to that, right? We ain't used to that.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you
Christian
know your
era.
grandmother, grandmother know that?
But they,
I know a little bit about because we have system of they explain like when they give the name, the meaning of that. Like example, your grandpa is called example Sukui, and from there everything have a meaning. And they say your grandpa is have that name. So example with my grandfather or my father, I know only 4, but I don't know number 5.
Oh, okay.
They explain about them. And
what tribe is it? I'm sorry.
my tribe is called Baranda. And that Baranda is, we have 2 groups. We have Nilotic and we have Bantu. So me, I'm a Bantu, like you guys.
Okay.
And the tribe, like you say, my tribe is going to South Africa Republic, not Ethiopia, not Kenya, but on the west side of South Sudan.
So it goes west.
Yeah, where?
It's a pretty large tribe.
Yeah,
It's
when I
like
did
Freetown, Sierra Leone.
no, when you do your genealogy, like when I did my African ancestry, it started like it was a check mark. So it pinpointed close to the Horn of Africa, and then it went down south, and then it went west. So it's like a check mark. That's how they did that route.
Yes. Like not to cut what you say exactly. There are many tribes. Like my tribe, you can go to Sierra Leone in West Africa, you find them there. The tribe of my mom, you go to South Africa, Zimbabwe, you find them there. They speak the same
The
language.
Bantu.
Yes, Bantu. They speak the same language. The tribe of my dad, you go to West Africa, you find them there. But it's colonization who missed everything.
That's right.
Okay. Okay, so you could go far as back as your grandfather, right? Because you don't know your grandfathers, right?
I have 4, but I don't have number 5.
Okay, so you got 5
Yeah,
generations.
the example I gave earlier was I talked about Ayan Hirsi in her book, and how as the children they were expected to know the name of each grandfather, every generation, their lineage. So their lineage had to go back. Sometimes they would have to say at least 100 to 200 names. That's what she talked about in her book for the Somalia. And like me being coming from a family that was enslaved African, I can go 13 generations. My grandfather, his grandfather, and his grandfather, his grandfather.
Yes, but right now, like we talked, there are a lot of things missing Africa because when the Europeans bring the confusion of war, famine, and people thinking of just to go to eat, thinking about their business, they don't think about the culture.
They're trying to survive.
So just
That's where we are kind of right.
like when you see one grandpa he passed away, we don't take the consideration a lot. We just go and bury him. But the history of him, we just have little, not really a lot.
The tribe, so you go off the tribe.
Yeah.
So they focus. That's an interesting
Yeah,
point.
that's
That they focus on
interesting.
tribe.
How the nation kind of broke that down. So they don't have.
Like example, we have a tribe. They call them Bongo. This tribe, but a lot of people. There are few people who make research a lot, like Jimmy Cliff from Jamaica. He went deep and see exactly where the location is. We have a tribe, we call them Bongo. That Bongo, for the time of slavery, they took them from Sudan. It was a big tribe, like we have a tribe now in South Sudan, we call them Dinka, they are tall.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So that tribe before, they're just exactly like them. There are a lot. They took them to Jamaica. So in Jamaica,
That's right.
when you see the roots, some of them they say they are from Sudan, they are from that area, from that tribe. The tribe we call Bongo. That's why when you see example when they talk in their language, they can say Yaman, Bongo Man. But this is coming from that culture of that name.
Interesting.
About
Some
Jamaica,
people-
Akampa,
Some
from
people,
Africa.
yeah, some of them they know exactly. Even when Jimmy Cliff he went up to Sudan, he went to the north, but he didn't go to south because that time they had a war. But we have like tribe, they still existing, but they are not a lot. Like
Yeah.
So what was the question after that?
Dealing with
Your identity. How do you identify yourself? When someone has, your race or identity here in America, how do you identify?
like African American.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, when they ask me, because most of the time they ask, where are you from? I just say I'm from Africa. I don't give exactly where my country is.
That's right.
Because when you find example, some of American, when you tell them that I'm from Sudan, they don't know where Sudan location is. So I just say I'm from Africa. So I would not waste my time to say I'm
It's
from
almost the same thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
She said that
Okay. So you just okay.
till you come across somebody that
So
says,
when you come on an
Really?
application, whatever, and when you fill out your application, how do you identify?
because we identify as African
They're
American.
African American descent.
You say African American.
Yeah, because where I would go.
But if you had another option,
No any option because they're right there, black, African American, whatever, we just put African American.
gotcha.
But there's an African American, sometimes it's African American and black. Do you check both? Or you just check
Yes,
African American?
too.
Okay.
Because this all Babylon stuff, so it's too much.
Amen.
Yeah.
You said what?
She said it's all Babylon. It's all Babylon
Can
stuff.
I ask a question? Do you ever think to yourself that it really doesn't matter how I identify because they're going to identify me by how they see me anyway? Do you ever think that?
Always in my, not imagination, the way that I think for my stuff or for my life or for the future, I have sometime God reveal me with something. who is already passed like a long time.
Mhm.
And when I say it, when they look there, they find that I was not a lie, it was true. So, like according when you're talking about the, the the Israelian is you. It's not a white. White just come the time of the Hitler when they don't know where to go. The same things like when we talk about America.
Yeah.
Before that, that he lied was that discover America from Christopher Columbus.
Columbus.
He's a liar.
He's a damn blasted
Yeah.
liar.
So they're here in America. They are red Indians and they are black. They didn't even go to Africa. They didn't even go nowhere. They are here, born here, raised here, and they have a group
That
mixing
kind of
with the African American. Red Indian. But they cover them because after that, when the war comes, the slave, white slave who they're in prison, they bring them to America to come. That's why you find the heart, they're very wicked. They don't have love. All these white Americans, you see them today, all of them, they bring them from England, from Europe. The prisoners, yes, all the prisoners, they bring them here. And that's why you find them, they're very hard with everybody. And even when they come, they kill a lot of natives. They're the one with the criminal camp. But before them, the blacks, Indians with Indians and black Americans, they are the one who rule America. Even when we talk about the White House, who built the White House?
Okay.
Those are coming people who coming from.
We're getting deep.
This is
Okay, so this has been a great conversation. In fact, guys, you may have to do a part 2 because
Yeah, this is good.
this is a lot, and we
And every year we don't get past identity.
We haven't-
This is good.
we haven't gotten to
History,
sorry.
culture.
economic. We even got so
Sorry.
no.
One of my
It's a
favorite
time
authors is from Sudan. His name is Zouk. And he does one of my favorite quotes because he was talking about Khartoum and the separation from North Sudan and South Sudan.
Yeah.
He said, we have to, because I don't see kinship in you. I don't see nothing I see in you, when he was talking about the people in Khartoum because they were Arabic. And he said, that's not my kinship. Those are not my people. We will fight. And, it was the JLP, or I think he was a member of that party.
Okay, well, there's been a lot of history,
a lot of conversation.
we're gonna have to okay, family, we're gonna have a part 2 of our African and
But July is
African
over with,
diaspora.
so we're finished.
Well, we don't stop talking.
We
don't stop
You see, that is a
Still
problem.
black.
You see what I'm
We're
trying to
still
say?
black.
It's more than just this month. It's 365.
Yeah.
It's
It's like labeling us to February.
No, because everything is done, and
366.
that's what I was trying
Right.
to get at. We need to continue instead of stopping because it's cancer month, it's domestic violence month, it's this month, it's that month,
Yeah.
right? Well, cancer and all these things go on continuously, but we want to stop it because it's the end of the month. But what happened tomorrow? Is another black person going to get killed tomorrow? Or
There you
another black person going to be killed next week or next month in January, February, March, April, May? So that is where we get hung up on things that we don't want to continue, because once a month is over, we want to think, okay, it's done, it's changed.
But you're right, Valerie. I think you're right. The conversation has to continue.
Yeah, because I didn't really get to talk about my favorite Winnie
And
Mandela.
that is why nothing is not going to be done, because each time something is, we think we've done our part, we've done our little conversation. What about next week? What about the next person that's going to get killed? What about the person who's being killed right now?
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to talk about something.
You see, I'm not even here, but what about the next person? If I might not even make it home. How do I know I'm even going to make it home?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? We need to stop having these conversations and then cutting it and hoping for the next person to take it on. Why can't we keep on lighting that torch? So
This
the
could be a
next
whole
person,
monthly conversation.
The
I'm not
next
trying to.
person-
And we tried to.
Well, we are going to schedule another one, because I think you're right, because we have to conversate more, and we got to really dispel some of these myths. Okay.
Dr. J, the one that I just read, like, what that was
We
crazy.
gotta break down some of these myths, because I have heard some craziness about what some of the African people from the continent think of African Americans. It's just mind blowing.
It's
Like,
not,
really.
you see,
So
are
we
not in
have
your
to talk
box.
about that. Like, we're not.
Perspective.
Right?
Yeah.
We are
I got
not
some
in
for you.
your, we are
I got
not
some
in
for you.
your box.
From Nigeria. I got some, when we leave this, I got something from Nigeria. I did an interview at my college. TJC asked me to come in and set up all of my stuff for them. So they gave me one side of the Rogers Center room, had everything in there. And right when the guy, this guy came to me from Nigeria. And there was a whole bunch of Nigerian students in town. And they were all with him. Football team, the whole nine. His dad was a pastor, the whole nine. And I sat down, I went to ask him, what do y'all think about us? What do y'all think about us? And then we went through a whole, I'm going to play it when it's over.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so we got to dispel myths, and we got to build relationships.
And you know, we used to study Fela Kuti when we did July the African. We used to have a film series on Fela Kuti, Kwame Nkrumah, Patrice Lumumba. We used to do a whole series, like a whole Cuba, the African Odyssey, and just study those things every, with a whole series, because we felt those relationships were important. And we got far here today, and I think it's a small number, but before, when the room was kind of, literally chairs were tossed over, and it was a mess. But I think we're kind of evolving and just having the conversation. And I think it is a very important and a very sensitive conversation.
And you need to continue it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
not
I have
just
something
go on.
to say. Sorry, I don't judge, but I just want to say is this. We black, like we say, before they say African American, after they change it from Africa, before they say Black American, and then after they change it to African American. So what I want to say, I didn't stay in America for so long, but the time when I come here, I learned a lot of things by my own. The problem is for African Americans, people, you find them, everybody with their own view, with their own idea, with their own thinking. The problem is not from them, for those black African Americans. Why I say that? Because those Babylon, when they're working in the hospital for laboratory, when the child born, the injection, they say that for vaccine, nobody know exactly what they're injecting in that. And that's why the child, when he was born, the attitude, even if you try to make the way that the child will be good. No way. Why? Because there's something there missing. I will just give you a little example. Take one sister, just for curious. When she's pregnant, let her go to Jamaica or any island in America. I mean, it's not far from America, that it will not cost a lot. Just let this child go born there and grow there for a while and return him back in America. You will see the difference, the true difference. The child who born in America, the child who mother from America and they took it out there and they born her or he outside there and they bring here him, you will see the difference of thinking, the difference of attitude, the difference of reaction. And that's why a lot of people didn't observe that issue. That issue is not you, it's not me, it's not we. That issue is coming from somewhere that they want to broke the false unit, the mind of the black, because we born always wise. We didn't born with the eyes closed. We have a gene that God give us, is a natural. We don't force ourselves for anything. When we do our exercise, natural. We don't eat something that to make us to get muscle. No. Somebody can stay for 2 days, but tell him that training. You will see with training more better than them. That's why there are a lot of confusion. They try all means. that's why things didn't go very well. This is according to what I know. But like how we talking right now, we try to basic is that like globalization, bring our kids here, we put them down, we talk to them. It's not that we're washing their brain, but we try to put them in the right way, the discipline, all that. Because what they teach in the school is not the way you teach your child at home. You can have a two job and you don't have time to talk with the child. And they wash us, our brain, even that you must pay 2 bills. And when you arrive the way that you want to read to catch it, after a year you hear that, she got the cancer, she got this. That means they will return you back behind again with the sickness. And then the child will start to catch your place to go to work. So if a child have a chance, he can graduate university, can be a big person. If not, from high school, finish. He will work for you because you don't have a power. Like how that's things that they make it with the
Systematic.
with yes.
Yeah,
So
systematic.
that's why it's very hard. It's not that very hard. We didn't catch that very quick. We need to talk to our kids all the time.
Yeah.
You see?
That is true.
And the things will change. Because if we say that we will be like how we are right now, because we already in the mistake, we will not let them come in that mistake. You know, even it's not just African American, any child from Africa born here, I can bring them here and I put them all together. You see how they will behave. You will not say that this child, oh, because he comes from Africa. No. Only if he's born there and they bring him here, you will see the attitude a little bit different. But if he's born here, put them all together. Believe me, you will see the same way how they.
I have had this conversation with many of folks, and now I'm sitting here hearing you guys say it, and it registered back to the first time I ever had this conversation was in 2000. He was from Barbados. He turned around and he said, "Y'all don't know what it means for us to work and ethic and everything for the nation." In other words, he was basically saying, "You African American men are sorry, you're lazy." Now, for the African, those in Barbados, the islanders, they know what it means to turn around and want a whole respect of education and family values and everything else. While for the African Americans, you're too busy trying to chase the accolades and the cause and the fame and everything. You lose yourself. Now that you two are forced to talking, I remember some of the things you're saying, and you echoing it, but just from another different tribe or whatever. I hear that again.
And we don't even know
And you don't know each other.
No.
Because
But people say that we don't work hard. I'm perplexed by that. Because I work every morning.
I get that.
Compared to other
But
cultures.
compared to the cultures, listen to what they're saying.
But it's
Neither
from,
one of them maybe they know each other, but look
Because
how
I
you
told
came
you,
in town.
it's a brainwashing that people have around the globe about African
That's
Americans.
why I'm gonna
And I'm like-
play that for you. I want you to be saying
And I don't
You see,
understand
the
that.
thing
Like,
about him, you could say, well, I was copying
He did.
what for that.
But
She was
as-
picking up his vibe all day long. She's picking up his vibe since he came in. She's been picking up his vibe, picking it up. She's been able to finish his sentences before he even started. You ain't catch that?
so,
She's been able to pick up what he said. She
Well,
was
because he said some of the things earlier.
correct, but she
So-
still was
so-
able to pick up. She still
Well, I
picked up some
didn't know
stuff.
what he was going to
She
say.
didn't know what he was gonna say. She
so,
been
so,
right here
so,
making
so,
gestures
so,
next
so
to me
what
with her face and all that.
okay, so what I'm hearing then is there a certain, there's a certain, I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say, is there a certain attitude that Africans outside of America have towards Africans in America?
That's what I was always led
I
to
believe
believe.
that there
There's a
is,
certain attitude.
but it's misunderstanding of experience.
You see,
Right.
when I grew up, all I used to
Yeah, that's it.
in England,
Because what they, no, hold on, Valerie, because what they see our basketball, they see our entertainment,
You're
they see all that, but they don't see the everyday black person.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
see the
They're
piano.
looking
So
yeah.
they compare their experience of
The
Chris
celebrities.
Brown
Yeah.
to everyday black
But
person.
that's not
Like
an
I said, I want you to this video. I want
And
you to
Chris
this video.
Brown is not our everyday black
You're right.
person.
He's not the spokesperson.
He's
Because so in Africa, in Nigeria, and places of education is placed on a higher platform than celebrity and sports. And here in America, we put emphasis on the wrong thing.
But that's not
our
true.
everyday.
But that's not true because you know your mama
person.
told you gotta go to school. You gotta go to school. You
Yeah.
gotta get your education.
They want you. Not
That's
to follow
what we
the-
heard.
That's,
Right.
You know, you made a good point. I'm gonna say
You know what I'm saying?
you said that culture had to know their background all the way to 100, right? You said something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, just this is
In the
something
Horn
different.
of Africa.
The other day on the news, they talked about for the Asian culture. They say they don't force education on them at a young age, like how we try to do for us now. They taught them about how life is and having the kids for us water and what it means to go outside and stop and no cop. They teach them about respecting the elders.
Mhm.
We don't do that. We straight out the gate, you go to school, you gotta have a good job, da, da, da. They don't do that. They talk about for us
Their culture,
knowing the
their
culture,
tribe.
knowing the history, knowing the tribe, knowing the lineage, all the way back. We don't start knowing the lineage until we get to HBCUs and all, because the high school is not teaching the lineage. We
No,
gotta know about.
lineage come from family.
You're right. Well,
But
it does come
families
from
are
family.
broken.
But I'm just saying when you get to the HBCUs by that
Not having
time,
those
it
conversations.
like I didn't get to where I am of wanting to know more about. I was under. I tell everybody I was under the ears of Mickey Mouse coming from Florida. I ain't know nothing about Florida, no Black history. I knew I wanted to know about it, but I didn't know anything until I left and went to the military. I'm almost 50 years old. I didn't start knowing.
So when did you learn a little bit about Black history?
I started learning.
When did you learn about Malcolm X?
What I know about him?
When did you learn about Malcolm X?
I know about him. He's one of the. No offense. He's one of the Malcolm X,
Okay.
Harriet Tubman, Madam C.J. Walker. You know, those are some of the best. Ask me what I know about Desmond Tutu. Ask me what I learned about him.
You learned about him.
I haven't learned about him till late, way on in the game. When I started learning about Africa. I know about them, no offense. I know about the Underground Railroad, the checking the boxes, the carpetbaggers. I know about some of that stuff for the school. I know about that a little bit. But what killed me is when like the first time something Black was put for us in history books when Obama was made president. That's when the history books started for a change. Besides that, it was limited enough for us about slavery, then boom, it was out. But then again, that is Florida history. I've been in Alabama
That
history,
Florida
all that stuff.
history is
Yeah,
another
exactly.
conversation.
Yeah, Florida history, Mississippi. I've everywhere I was, everybody had their own little different histories.
Right.
I could tell you just studying in the Caribbean and having to take the literature classes at CAST, that's one of the things that I found an appreciation of African American literature. And it was my Jamaican teacher that was so insulted that she really shamed me, not being able to, not being able to read this or have read that or know that and not having the English experience that I should have had.
Right.
And so when I came back, we studied in Jamaica for a semester. When I came back, I ended up double majoring in economics and history and really focusing on literature. And most of the literature books I started reading were from the Caribbean, in the Castle Masin, William Lamy, and all those different writers, Jamaican Kincaid, all those different writers, is because of my experience. And why we do this today, try to build a relationship because of
We're going to have our closing remarks. I'm sorry. We can go on and on. This is a good we can go on and on, but seriously, we have to be ready for our next event.
Mike,
You started higher learning.
So we're
You
going to do
started
it.
higher learning Lawrence Fishburne. When he had the Jamaican accent, when he was teaching everybody, that's what you sound like for a second.
Okay, so we're going to have our closing remarks. And as you close, you can close out with whatever you want to share with the world. And also just whatever your closing remarks are. Well, as far as this, it's a lot in dealing with the African and the African diaspora. And we have shared our identities, our lineages, some of our misconceptions and everything and thoughts. So just kind of just do your closing remarks and we're gonna plan a part 2. So hold on.
I would just close on my favorite. One of the reasons why I focus on this is because I am a fan of Winnie Mandela. I have a whole bunch of her historical information. And to me, just reading her story and understanding, yes, she was an African. Yes, she was quote unquote a revolutionary, but she was really about family, and she understood family, and she understood why it was important to bring women together. Even the women that when she was exiled into a Bantu community, but even there she taught very basic things, and one of the things she taught was lift up your home. no matter what you have in your home is so important. That is where you reside. So even if it's dirt, just continue to lift it up. And as women, we can come together to make our homes our home for our families, because families was important. So even though she was exiled, couldn't speak the language, the Bantu language, because everybody in South Africa don't speak the same language. But those are the things. That's the book, A Part of My Soul with Him by Winnie Mandela. Is one of those things I try to, really key in, and why I really try to bring African literature into this space. And just for those experiences I had in the Caribbean, and I think it's important to continue those conversations going forward, because there's so many books. Kintu.
And in part two, we're gonna delve into our literary experience.
Okay,
Right
so
now
we're gonna.
okay, we close it right now.
Okay, I mean, actually, there is so much, so many different connections. This is my closing remark. I'm a fan of Mandela. And we didn't even dive into that. And a telltale with Mandela, when he first got out of prison, the first place he went was Cuba, because of those long distance, those long relationships.
Historian Diane.
Okay, those important relationships. And so I'm just going to table that's why I really do, why I really focus on Africa and African diaspora.
And she loved history. I love the fact that you love history.
Well, I am just going to close out by saying this has been an amazing conversation. Like I said in the beginning, I have not had very many conversations on this topic. And this is going to now be something I'm going to delve more into to be more insightful, because I have not had the conversations that I need to have. And so this was very good. I thank you guys for inviting me to be a part of this panel, because it's been enlightening for me. So thank you.
You always bring a certain light, so that's why we just have you here. You just
Thank you.
we just love Stephanie. She brings light. So
Just want to say thank y'all. Pleasure meeting y'all. My first,
your first roundtable.
not my last. My everything.
And we thank you for being a trooper, just joining us. It's like, okay, I don't know what I'm getting into, but I'm gonna get into it. So we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Share your stories. We
Thank you.
appreciate that.
And I just want to tell you all thank you. And we do need to have more conversations like this, and people keeping it real. And it's nice if we could get people from other nations, so you can see the bigger picture of what is really going on. So I would like to tell you both, thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Valerie. And if we do this again, I'm calling you, okay? Because you bring stability. So we're gonna
I'll
definitely
just keep you real.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a queen.
I don't have a lot to say, but it's the honor to be here, because something can never happen like people say. It's just like by accident. I'm sure God could bring me here, because I just come when I see the picture of my black, beautiful, like you guys see, like you see. What make me to that shop? So I don't know her, she don't know me. But sometimes they say things happen for a reason. And that's why today I meet you guys here. So, but things will happen good, because what God wants to do, everything have a hand like Sukui. So we will just keep on, everybody can go home, make our own research. Next time when you come, it will be hot than this one. And I say thank you so much to know you.
Well, thank you. And again, thank you all for just answering the call and just for being here. We really wanted to do a roundtable discussion. At first we wasn't going to do anything because of all that was going on. I said, Diane, no, we're going to at least talk. Okay? We're going to at least
We've been traumatized by this
do
discussion.
our roundtable, because we got to build those bridges.
Yeah.
We really do. I mean, we do a lot of work with African Americans. I'm gonna be honest with you. We do a lot of work with African Americans. We don't do a lot of work with African in the diaspora, and we want more of that. You know what I'm saying? We really do, and so we're trying to build.
And they want more of
bridges.
it. We deal with
Yeah, and like Valerie said, next time when we have, I believe we're gonna have a big audience as well, because it was short notice. It was a week, okay.
Because we was not going to do it.
Yeah, so I thank you just for being here, and we're gonna do a part 2 because we have to, because we didn't get to
Politics.
we didn't get to economics, we didn't get to our literary experience, we didn't get to a lot of things, and so we're gonna have an African diaspora part 2. So look forward to it.
Thank you. This question's all up and down.
It is.
So what?
And we'll respond to the questions.
Online.
What were some of the questions?
Oh, yes, another black person going to get killed tomorrow, Valerie, probably by the hands of another black person. Well, and that's true. You know, let me.
No.
Let me respond to that. Understand that. Understand that groups do have issues, conflicts within groups. I mean, white people kill white people, black people kill black people, Asians kill Asians. That's normal. The issue is when a peace officer or a servant or a community person kills someone unnecessarily. That's the issue. That people miss the point. It's not about black on black crime. I think he's referring to. I don't know if he's referring to the whole Sonia Massey thing, whatever. Yes, there's black on black crime, but what we're dealing with oftentimes is when we're actually, our paid servants, that we pay tax dollars to. Yeah, we're having to deal with that.
And that's also a deflection.
That's a deflection.
To say black on black crime is a deflection of what we're actually talking about today, because black on black crime is magnified versus white on white crime. Let's talk about that too. If we want to talk about black on black crime, let's talk about white on white crime that we never hear about.
Right. So we're gonna deal with that. Okay.
I wanted to ask y'all about what do you think when a European Caucasian, whatever, takes a DNA test and find out she has black in her?
Okay, we're gonna go off record with that one. Thank you all for tuning in.
I mean, not